Good morning, everybody. It's Jeff Eichen here. Sorry about that. I'm going to be reading a page that I I Ching from Reefer Madness. So let's get busy. Good morning. It's Monday. The Wooden Boat Festival went great. I had a really successful sale, and in fact, I went on the water to photograph the sailboats and the ships, the tall ships. It was really a great weekend. It's what I do, and I like it. Okay, so do what you like. That's my morning mantra. Do what you like. So I hope you can hear me, and this microphone is. I'll change the preset. There we go. Okay, so it's a beautiful day in the neighborhood. Those who suffer most from the war on marijuana tend to be poor or working class people. Unlike members of the upper middle class, they cannot avoid prison by hiring a costly attorney, enrolling in private drug treatment programs before the trial. They are often devastated by the loss of state or federal benefits and that they can follow a marijuana arrest in 1997, 107, 117, 127. That's almost 30 years, okay? So Gary Martin was arrested in Manchester, Connecticut, and charged with possession of marijuana. Don't we all carry it? So, or didn't we all carry it? And didn't your father, your mother, your brother, or everybody at the freaking bar drink it and then drive home? So Gary Martin was arrested in Manchester, Connecticut, and charged with possession of marijuana. Almost 20 years earlier, he had been severely beaten in a robbery, resulting in a permanent brain damage. After the beating, he endured series of strokes that left his right side paralyzed. He developed circulatory problems, and his left leg was amputated. Do you know where this is going, everybody? This guy's probably in jail. Martin began to smoke marijuana to relieve the phantom pains from his amputated leg. We'll give him a morning whistle here. Thank you, Gary. After being arrested for possessing less than 4 ounces of pot, he was evicted from his apartment at a special housing complex for elderly and disabled. None of the doctors or nurses treating Martin were warned that he might be evicted. They would have lobbied the authorities on his behalf. Kicking this guy out of the apartment for pot, said Tom Condon, a reporter from the Hartford, Connecticut, was just pathetic. The offspring of important government officials, however, tend to avoid severe punishment for their marijuana crimes. In 1982, the year President Reagan launched the war on drugs, FU, his chief staff's son was arrested for selling pot. John C. Baker, the son of the future Secretary of State James Baker, sold a small amount of marijuana, around a quarter of an ounce, to an undercover agent near the family's ranch in Texas. Under the state law, John Baker faced a possible felony charge and prison for terms of 2 to 20 years. Instead, he was charged with a misdemeanor, pleaded guilty, and was fined $2,000. In 1990, Congressman Dan Burton introduced legislation requiring the death penalty for drug dealers. What's wrong with this picture? Where's Jack Harrer? I mean, all the people on my team, where are they? Why do we even have to read this story? Man, it's so pathetic. Burden, we must educate our children about drugs, Burden said, and impose tough new penalties on dealers. 4 years later, his son was arrested. While transporting nearly 8 pounds of marijuana from Texas to Indiana, Burton hired an attorney for his son. While awaiting trial of that case, Denny Burton, number two, was arrested again only 5 months later for growing 30 marijuana plants. Big F deal, BFD. So, get my cookies off my lip there. While awaiting trial in this case, Danny was growing pots in his Indianapolis apartment. Police also found a shotgun in the apartment. Under the federal law, Danny Burton faced possible mandatory minimum sentence of 5 years in prison just for the gun alone. Why are there shootings in schools if Danny had a gun? How'd that happen? So, under federal law, Danny Burton faced possession, possible the mandatory minimum for his gun for 3 years in prison. Under the state law for pot, federal charges was never filed against Burton, who wound up receiving a milder sanction in terms of community service, probation, and house arrest. When his son Riley was former South Carolina governor, who became Clinton's Secretary of Education, was indicted on federal drug charges of conspiring to sell cocaine and marijuana. He faced 10 years to life in prison for a fine of $4 million. Instead, Richard Riley Jr. received 6 months of house arrest. So the beginning of this story, everybody, said that the poor end up in jail for life because they don't have lawyers. In September 1996, Congressman Randy Duke Cunningham attacked President Clinton for being cavalier towards illegal drug use and appointing too many soft-on-crime liberal judges. We must get tough on drugs, Cunningham argued. Those who peddle destruction on our children must pay. What about fentanyl and alcohol and rape? Those who peddle destruction on our children must pay dearly. 4 months later, his son Todd Cunningham was arrested by the DEA after helping to transport 400 pounds of marijuana. Still BFD, from California to Massachusetts. Although Todd Cunningham confessed to having been part of a smuggling ring that had shipped more than 30,000 pounds of marijuana throughout the United States, crime can lead to a life sentence without parole. He was charged with distributing a sentence of 14 months and a boot camp and a halfway house. Congressman Cunningham begged the judge for mercy. My son has a good heart. He is fighting back tears. He has never been in trouble before. Todd Cunningham was sentenced to 2.5 years in prison. He might have received an even shorter sentence had he not tested positive for cocaine 3 times while out on bail. Need I say more? Come to my show this Wednesday, Weeds Day, episode 277. I love you all. Good morning, and I'm going to go unload from The weekend, I had a great weekend. It rained twice, and that closed my sales down for half the day on Friday and half the day on Saturday. But all my work is online, and it's a beautiful day.